Good afternoon. I am Brother Zachary, the chaplain for pastoral care here at the community church, and I welcome you all on behalf of our ministry team, our staff, and all our lay leaders. It is good to be together, both in person and online. Community Church is a multiracial, multicultural, multi-generational congregation with a vision and commitment to build a world grounded in equity and inclusion. With me today is Jerry Brown, our director of music behind the organ. We also have Reverend Jude Geiger, our minister for community engagement, as well as Darnell White, our musician in residence. Community Church is in transition. We have sold our church building and are in the process of finding another here in this neighborhood. We are guests here at Church of the Incarnation in the meantime, for which we are very grateful, even if this beautiful space isn't fully reflective of Unitarian Universalist theology. Children are always welcome during worship. Feel free to move around the space or to move back and forth to join programming happening upstairs in the loft. The sound of babies crying, children fidgeting, or really anyone fidgeting, is a beautiful part of being in community. Masks are optional but encouraged. We ask that everyone be respectful of each other's decisions and our need for personal space. Today's service is called Start As You Mean to Continue. Thank you. And please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee, number 29 in your gray hymnal.
We're trying a computer this morning, so please forgive us as little errors happen. This pulpit was built for someone 5'2". May we come to find our hearts unfurled and joy infuse us. This morning, unburden your souls of doubt or grief and lift up your voice before the awe that is life. May we come to know gladness even in the midst of strife. Come back to your center this hour. Join us now in singing our chalice lighting. We light this candle, the flame of our heritage. May it ignite hope in our lives, in our community, and in the world. I invite you to join with me in our unison affirmation. Unto the Church Universal, which is the depository of all ancient wisdom and the school of all modern thought, which recognizes in all prophets a harmony, in all scriptures a unity, and through all dispensations a continuity, which abjures all that separates and divides, and always magnifies humanity and peace, which seeks truth in freedom, justice in love, and individual discipline in social duty, and which shall make of all persons one beloved community, unto this church and unto all its members, known and unknown, throughout the world, we pledge the allegiance of our hands and hearts.
Thank you. Please join me in our land acknowledgement found in your bulletin. We are gathered on the unceded land of the Lenape peoples. We acknowledge the Lenape community, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. This acknowledgement demonstrates a commitment to beginning the process of working to dismantle the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism. Now is our opportunity to greet one another in COVID-safe ways. Please take a moment to greet your neighbor. We now enter in a time of silence, followed by prayer, beginning with our chime. Please follow the sound of the chime and let it bring you into a sense of stillness, calm, and peace. Let us pray. Spirit of life, who hears every word spoken, we know you in your many forms. Spirit of life, we know you as the gentle wind that brings with it the coming seasons or storms. And we know you as the passing touch, a gentle touch, perhaps from a misplaced hand or finger. You contain worlds. Spirit of life, your touch is known across the world by all of your children. Spirit of life, your touch is the air we breathe. Your breath is shared by every people, every faith, every nation, every community, every family, every creature. Spirit of life, we know you as the friend, a friend whom we know only in part, and yet who knows us. Spirit of life, you hear us. You see us. Spirit of life, we know you in our grief, in the knowledge of our days and moments, of that which has passed. Spirit of life, we know you in our suffering. You who were present at every moment in our life, even our birth, who are present at every birth. You do not allow anyone to suffer alone. Spirit of life, this is how we know you. Spirit of life, we know you by your many other names as well. We know you as comfort. We know you as trust. We know you as rest and stillness. We know you, Spirit of life, as presence. And we know you most dearly as peace. In this moment together, we ask you, Spirit of life, lift us who gather. Lift us from this moment and grant us your presence here. Spirit of life, be with us. Grant us time with you now. Let us be. Spirit of life, grant us peace. Amen. Our reading this morning is entitled, Necessary Stillness. We can be many things. Friday afternoon, we were traffic, car traffic. You usually find both of us on bicycles to commute, but work took us too far that day. My colleague lives on the way, so I offered to drive. At day's end, we were departing downtown. Theoretically, we were heading towards his home. In practice, we lingered on the same block, advancing 1 car length per light change. It felt like the street was doing an award-winning performance of a parking lot. I had tried to bypass the highways by cutting through downtown, but a street was closed and the traffic lights were all out of sync. It took time. There was not a single indication of frustration in my colleague's body, their words or demeanor. I did not have to be elsewhere for a long while. Conversation came easily. I do enjoy their companionship. At the same time, I felt guilty for how long it was taking. Reflecting on the experience, I realized that I wasn't impatient for impatience' sake. It was more that I felt a moral obligation towards advancement. It's all progress, improvement, efficiency, the next thing. It's capitalism, it's white supremacy, it's a deeply and viscerally internalized cultural ethic towards forward momentum. It permeates my entire perspective. My discomfort was the dissonance of failing to meet that expectation. There I am, present in necessary stillness, and my body tingles with a version of the same anxiety I feel when I sense my career is stagnating, or I'm failing to become better in all of the ways society suggests we should. Miles per hour or milestones per lifetime, it all feels the same. When I could be present in the moment, sitting in the car, relaxing my sense of obligation towards speed, it let me recognize the true experience. Good company, good conversation. Connection makes life rich. This mindset towards progress set me up to miss it. What other circumstances am I failing to recognize when I don't embrace the necessary stillness? Where else am I failing to see that the need to exist in the moment is a required part of whatever journey I'm taking? What else am I failing to understand? That maybe life doesn't have to be ever upward in order to be well lived.
I remember a time when I was sitting around a large banquet table up at our former UUA headquarters, maybe 10 years ago, in Elliott and Pickett, our denomination's former bed and breakfast, a group before they moved downtown Boston. A group of 11 of us were meeting together for a few days on a council that deals with staffing and finances. Think health insurance, retirement, and hiring practices for UU congregations. I was representing either our educators group or our ministers group. I don't remember at this point. We're going around the table, introducing ourselves in the most boring way possible. Name, what group we represent, where we serve. After a few descriptions in, one member of the council jumps in and asks, "What's your favorite movie?" A blank look creeps on the person's face as they are immediately thrown out of our dry rope, and it shifts into the warmth. of the person inside. We're out of our head and reliving a moment of joy or depth or humor. Various answers: Lincoln, Chinatown, arsenic and old lace. I finally went with The Empire Strikes Back. There were a few more odd looks around the table as everyone's faces went back to their memories of that movie. The cartoon thought bubbles popped over their heads. Well, that's sci-fi. It's not great theater. Well, not in the classic sense. One of the lead roles is a Muppet. And then faces start to slowly nod. The movie does stand the test of time. It does. It does define a generation with its scope and wonder. Deep down, we all want the Force to be with us. So something you should know about me right now, if this has not come up yet, I'm a big sci-fi fantasy geek. Our lives are so serious. There are so many challenges and struggles in the world, and I take it all to heart like many of you do, and sometimes get very immersed with my work, with ministry. Give me a Muppet with a lightsaber any day to balance that out. Apparently, I'm not alone in the preference. The late, great Roger Ebert, movie critic, for folks who are not familiar with him, who also died about 10 years ago now, I think. He wrote, and I'll quote, "The Empire Strikes Back is the best of the Star Wars films and the most thought-provoking. After the space opera cheerfulness of the original film, this one plunges into darkness and even despair and surrenders more completely to the underlying mystery of the story. It's because of the emotions stirred in Empire that the entire series takes on a mythic quality that resonates back to the first and ahead to the third. This is the heart." Listen to Ebert. We can encounter the range of human emotions from cheerfulness and joy to darkness and despair until we eventually surrender to the mystery of the story, our lives. I have to wonder if he was just trying to write a critique of the film or he was secretly throwing in a working definition of the role of religion in our lives. As Unitarian Universalists, we're never going to agree on all things theological. Can we agree on that? Yes? Okay, I got some head nodding. That's a UU miracle right there. Especially if you try to think of theology in terms of beliefs to follow. That's not going to work for us easily or well. Our faith is more focused on our shared commitments and convictions. At its best, at our best, religion helps us to appreciate the times of joy when they come, make sense of the despair that will find its way into our lives from time to time, while knowing we're never truly left alone to deal with it. And the beauty of our tradition, throughout all our intellectualism, all our critique, all our challenge, part of it recognizes that there's no one way to understand the world that's absolutely correct. Our neat rows on Sunday morning are filled with folks who each hold a different view from the next. We seek to reflect the breadth of human experience without placing it in a box, cataloged and pinned. Follow Unitarian Universalism far enough down the road, and eventually it asks us, as Ebert described, to surrender more completely to the underlying mystery of the story, of our story. We point to a central awe at the heart of our lives, and we struggle to name it as best and sometimes as worst as we can. Meditation or mindfulness can bring us there. A dedication to God can bring us there. Compassion for the simple sake of compassion can bring us there. What we call it or what discipline we use matters much less than the openness to a sense of wonder in our lives. We're allowed to have a sense of wonder even in these times of difficulty and strife in the world. Ebert's review went on to say, I'll quote, "In the glory days of science fiction, critics wrote about the sense of wonder. That's what The Empire Strikes Back creates in us. Like a lot of traditional science fiction, it isn't psychologically complex. That's because the characters are not themselves, they're us. We're looking out through their eyes instead of into them, as we would in a more serious drama. We are on a quest, on a journey, on a mythological expedition. We're in a receptive state like that of a child. Our eyes and ears are open. We're paying attention and we're amazed. It's this sense that I try to keep in mind when we talk about some of our principles. Take the fourth, for example, where we covenant to affirm and promote the responsible search for truth and meaning. What does a responsible search even mean? Intellectually honest? Kindness in our speech, especially when we disagree? It also means we're open-minded, we're paying attention, that we allow ourselves to be amazed by life, a life that we did nothing of our own to be born into. When we move the center of our search, of our quest, back to a place of wonder and respect, it can feel a little humbling, right? I really have to marvel at how all of this came out of a committee meeting roundtable introduction. It's funny how the little insertion of humanity can turn the droll into something engaging. The questions of who, what, where gave us all the facts and details we needed for basic intros, but left us dry, bringing us instead to questions of passion or preference, of joy, changed the nature of our meeting, and it changed the quality of our interactions. People I've worked with time and time again, people who I thought were otherwise nice, but I never really made a real connection with them, finally clicked. By the end of the few days, we started sharing more and more of our lives together. After the work hours were done, some of them are still friends now. It's in the sense that I hope we can root our shared ministry together in the years to come. A wise teacher once told me that it's best to start as you mean to continue. That practice has saved me heartache time and time again in the work world and also in my personal life. Whatever negative practices we begin now will stay with us for the long haul, and we are in a big time of transition. I like to flip that, though. Now that I've finished my first year with y'all at Community, let's think about starting a good habit together in the new year. Let us be open to a sense of curiosity for our differing views. Let us craft spaces for people to feel at home, whether they believe in God or they don't believe in God, or they aren't particularly moved one way or the other. Despite all our knowledge, mystery is the very core of life. We don't really know. But the journey and how we handle ourselves on the road matters very deeply. Silencing one perspective is just as bad as silencing the other. We are stronger together for our diversity. There's a powerful quote from UU folk singer Pete Seeger. There's a river of my people, and its flow is swift and strong. There's a river of my people, and its flow is swift and strong. He's an American icon, American tradition all on his own, and his music is so often about building a world of justice and equity. It matches well our own philanthropic commitments to peace, liberty, and justice here at Community Church. Our strength as a people rests in the onward movement of our work together. That river is leading us to a world where the beloved community, so often spoke of by prophets, like Martin Luther King Jr. we spoke about last week, is a reality even if we never see it in our lifetime. Even so, it matters that we keep moving toward it, however slowly we are in that traffic jam, block by block. The strength of the river doesn't rely on where the individual rivulets break away. The strength of the river relies on where all those rivulets come together. Building a world founded in compassion requires all of us working together with a shared purpose, centered in love and respect. That very practice is a spiritual discipline. It's a discipline, one that is much easier to say than to do. If you've ever been stuck on a line in a Walgreens or wherever, and you've lost your patience over the stupidest thing. You know what I mean, how difficult that is to do in all ways and all times. I'd like to take a lesson here from our religious education classes, their children and youth. Most of them have a practice that's incredibly helpful, that our adults could benefit from following. This is pretty universal in our RE programs. They begin every year by building a covenant together. They come up with promises they make to one another, not rules to follow, but practices to honor. They figure out as a group how to start in a way that they mean to continue. When one of us falls back out of covenant, the class, the community can kindly bring them back into right relationship. It's something that's a lot easier to do when the promises are hanging from the wall with a magic marker. Everyone knows what's expected. People are surprised by cultural secrets or in-house cliques. It can seem like a small thing, but it's probably one of our most universal spiritual practice, something that our children and youth tend to excel at better than the rest of us. And it's something we can learn from. This practice is at our heart. It's our core of our faith, our promises to one another. We're not a creedal faith. There's no litmus test to define the right responses for factual questions of belief, rote or otherwise. In this religious home, there's room for searching. Rather, we're a covenantal faith. We are defined by our relationships, by our commitments, by the promises we make with one another. Our principles themselves are all written as relational. We often shrink them down, but they're written as promises. Here's an example. Our third principle calls us to affirm and promote acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth. Now, I can't think of a more dangerous principle to live by. If I tried to apply this back home with my parents, forget it. Encouragement to spiritual growth. I love my Sicilian Catholic mom, but if she tried to encourage me in her way, we might not be talking for another month. But that's the very discipline our religion tries to nurture and develop. We just need to center the practice in ground rules, so to speak, in promises kept, in covenant, so that when we go too far or we stall on the road, we have each other to hold us back or lift us up. And we're not surprised by the outreach. We've agreed that this is how we will call each other back in. Our shared ministry together, both in leadership of Our Lady and the rich collaboration of our whole staff team, is a strength we have. Collaboration is a strength. It also means this practice of covenant. We have it even within ourselves. We have a covenant within the staff team of how we will communicate and be responsible to each other. The ways in which we care and work together as a community is how we best share our ministry with one another. I know Reverend Peggy, our senior minister, is leading us in a multiple-year reflection on the meaning of covenant now. I imagine we'll continue to have opportunities in the months ahead to reflect on this as we slowly develop one for the whole congregational body. We can hold our meetings and do our work focusing just on the what and the where, something so common when we are busy studying for school or immersed in our careers or raising our kids alone. Or we can leave room to learn what our favorite movies are. We can craft space for our humanity to shine in between our tasks and projects. The work we do here is always secondary to the people we are building deeper connections with. All the details will pass. All the facts will someday be forgotten. It will be the laughs and the tears that linger in our hearts. Always make room for them. Always make room for them. Our religion is about the laughter and the tears. It's about the heart at our center. It's about how we are in the world and how we strive to be. It seeks to ground us in the mystery that is our life. It teaches us that there is a path worth living and moving along. There's ever a potential for hope and the unfolding of the human spirit. We are loved and maintain the possibility to love. Perfections and products are pale compensations for the forgetting of our connectedness in this awe-inspiring living world. I look forward to continuing to get to know you all in the weeks and hopefully years ahead. There is a river of my people, and its flow is swift and strong. Amen, and blessed be. I invite you all to rise in body or in spirit and sing hymn number 1064 in the teal hymnal, Blue Boat Home. Yes.
I think I speak on behalf of all of us when I say thank you. Life at Community Church is busy, whether we are online or in person. It is our hope that wherever you are, and in whatever way you are comfortable engaging in the mission and ministry of this church, that we have provided opportunities for you. Next Sunday at 10:30 a.m. over Zoom, Reverend Jude will be leading his third session in this year-long series on Roots to Leaves, teaching about Unitarian Universalist history, theology, and polity. Please email Reverend Jude for the Zoom room link. It is also available on the website and will be in the weekly e-blast. This session will be looking at the Transcendentalists. We are thrilled to announce the return of our volunteer choir, being led by Darnell White, our musician in residence. Please sign up in the front in the sign-in sheet. We are a 7-day church. We have programs running every day of the week. You can find more information on the programming booklet and on our website. Our ushers are going to pass a plate now for our collection. If you're new here, please let the plate go by you with no pressure to give. We are glad for your presence. All gifts offered are accepted in gratitude.
Please join with me in our unison extinguishing of the chalice, printed in the order of service. Knowing how quickly the flame of truth may be extinguished, how easily the chalice of fellowship broken, let us be vigilant in faith, keep peace in our hearts, and make care for one another the watchword of our lives together, so our light goes out everywhere into the world. For those who seek God, may God be with us. For those who embrace life, may life return our affections. For those who seek a right path, may we be found in the courage to take it, move by move. For this is the day we are given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Amen.